Flosstube. My name is Becca and I'm SamBrie Stitches here on Flosstube and Instagram. Welcome to another special edition of Interview with a Flosstuber. I'm very excited today to be here with Matt. He is MBC Stitcher on Flosstube and Instagram. We became stitchy friends over our love of owls and stitching, of course. We do currently have an ongoing SAL together, stitching on anything that has an owl on it. So that's been a lot of fun to see everybody's projects with owls on it. But he's also working on an amazing piece that you have to go check out on his channel. It's from Pain Free Crafts, and I absolutely love it. And I love seeing his updates on that piece. So if you're not familiar with this channel, all the links are going to be down below so you can go and check it out. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. It's we had a little bit of a cold snap here in Oklahoma, so we're down to in the 30s, but it's not freezing yet. So that's good.
That's good. Yeah. It was funny, you know, because we were talking just before the recording and I'm sitting here saying how freezing I am at like 50 something. And then you're like, oh, we're in the 30s. So you beat me, but I'm still cold though. But hopefully nothing freezes and everybody stays safe there. So yeah. All right, let's jump into the questions. The first one is, why did you start a Flosstube and were there any particular motivations?
So I started my Flosstube when we were still in lockdown or work from home phase. But the end of it was the end, or like April 19th, I think was my first video. But I had been, so I found Flosstube back in about a year ago, or yeah, like last October, and fell down a rabbit hole of watching all of the things.
Yeah.
That's and just everything. So I had been thinking about doing one, and I had thought about it. I had like a week off in January from work, and I was like, oh, I'm going to do it. And then I didn't. But when we were working from home, it was one of those things that was like nice to have that extra something like that. You know, when you were doing your daily videos and Pam or Steph was doing her like daily things that
the Instagram ones, yeah.
It was nice to have something else that kind of was like to look forward to about, you know, while I'm stuck in my house for so long. But I just wanted to get more involved and engaged with the community more. I mean, I'd started my Instagram account before that and I had done some of that, but I wanted like to get to know people more. And so decided to go ahead and make a video, and then the rest is history. So
I know there's been a lot of new Flosstubers that have kind of come from the whole quarantine, you know, staying at home thing. And I think everybody just wanted to feel included and less alone since, you know, you're basically stuck at home. So starting a Flosstube is probably one of the best things that I've ever done. Just becoming part of the community is just amazing. So yeah. The next question is a subscriber question, and they were just wondering if you had a blog.
No, I missed that train when it was happening. But I mean, I don't think I even had like, I mean, I'm at the age where the MySpace was barely a thing for me. And then
okay.
So like, and I didn't really ever get those things. I mean, I had like, I think I made a MySpace, but it was kind of like behind the times, or like when it was about to, I already had a Facebook. So you can tell like the timing of my joining the whole blog and that kind of thing. So no, I have never done that. But I know lots of people have said that they are using their Instagram as a good way, and that matter, is a good source of like being able to go back and look at what you've done and to tell other people about it. And so that's what I've done. So
yeah, I think that's a easier way. That's so funny that you said MySpace, because that was like my favorite thing, you know, customizing it and all the music and like doing all the little things that you can't do on Facebook. But
Yeah.
Brought back the memories there. Shows my age, I guess.
Got like the email from Tom or whatever his name was. It was like, "Hi, you have a friend." And then it used it for a couple weeks, and that was it. So like,
that's funny.
yeah.
So how did you learn to stitch, and how long have you been stitching?
So I learned to stitch when I was a kid. My aunt does a lot of needle crafts. She does a lot of needlepoint on like plastic canvas, and which you use yarn to do that. And so she did a lot of things of like making tissue box holders and just all sorts of different stuff for like each holiday. And I learned from her how to do that, and then she showed me how to do cross stitch. It's not something she does, but we got a kit one time when I was down visiting family. And I don't know how old I was. I mean, I think I was probably like, it was well before high school, but I don't know if it was like, I don't know exactly. So I call it 20 plus years, but it haven't been consistent. I kind of did it a little bit as a kid, and then would do it when I was visiting family or on like a road trip or something. And then during school, I wouldn't keep up with it. And then the next summer I'd pick it back up or something like that. And I kind of went through the similar kind of phase during college. I would like pick it up for a while, and then I would put it down. And this time around, so my current like foray into everything started almost 2 years ago. So like about January of 2019, I found that they had patterns for cross stitch on Etsy. I was like, oh, this
Another rabbit hole.
You may not just like buy one of these and not have to find a kit that actually fits what I like to do. And so I did that, and then kept doing that, and then found Flosstube and Instagram and everything, and it just went from there. So it's
Very
been
dangerous.
This time it's been pretty consistent for the last 2 years or so, almost. And so that's kind of my how long I've been doing it.
Nice. Off and on. That's probably, I've been doing it for about 20 plus years too, off and on. So a lot has changed in that time. A lot.
Yeah.
So this is one of my favorite ones, and it's, what is your favorite project that you've stitched?
Well, this is really hard because it's like, there aren't really projects that I don't like that I've stitched. Yep.
True.
But my favorites, there's a couple, I pulled a couple. So the first one, get this. This is
cool.
My my geometric deer pattern, and this was like the first one I found on Etsy that I did and wanted to do like as a like, oh, this is a new thing, and I wanted to do this to put up in my house. So that one was like the first time, well, really the start of this whole journey now. And then
that's cool.
The other one I brought, and I forgot to pull the designer of that one, but it's on my Flosstube. Or I can send you the information.
Yeah, I can put a text in.
So the other one I got, this is Alpine from Satsuma Street.
That's gorgeous.
And this was, I think it's definitely the first one I finished on like it's on a Lugana and an even weave. And the first time like stitching on that and finishing something on it. And I really liked it. And it was, I decided to make a bunch of like gifts for people last year at Christmas with cross stitch. And then, so my November and Christmas was filled up stitching things for other people and not for me. And so then this was the one that was like, no, I'm doing this now. And this was what I wanted to do. I haven't got it finished yet, but I definitely, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with it. Cause I don't think I want to do like a traditional frame, but some kind of like wall hanging, kind of like what the pattern calls for on it.
Yeah, I think like a canvas, if you put it on a canvas, if you can find one that you know, would fit it, but sticking it on one of the canvases, that would look really good.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So those are the two. And then I have lots of whips that are my favorite.
I think all the whips should be the favorite, but not for me. Like I started going through a lot of my projects, you know, getting ready for an upcoming video, and I was like, I haven't touched a lot of these, so not all whips are favorites.
Yeah, I do have some of those too. I will say that.
Yeah, I think we all do. I really do. So the next question's a fun one. It's, what do you enjoy most about stitching?
I like it because, well, it's calming, it's soothing, you know, that it's something that that you can do that gives you that kind of experience, but it's also, I'm not very talented with like a paintbrush or a pencil or something, like, but it is a way of being like artistic. I mean, we are following a pattern, and there's a lot of choices that you can make of like, what colors do you want to use, what, you know, most of the time I change the background or the fabric from the called for, and sometimes I'll make changes to the floss and all that, and I feel like it's a way to be, it's like a way that I can be artistic within my abilities, so I like that aspect of it as well. Yeah, I get to make things that I like and put up in my house, so.
Yeah, and I think people can refer to it as like painting with floss, basically, because in the end a lot of it does look like, you know, a portrait or a painting or something like that too, so
right.
Yeah, that's always fun. All right, so we are going to get out of Stitchy talk for a little bit and find out a little bit more about you. So the next one is, what's your favorite genre of book or movie?
So I am a really big sci-fi fantasy nerd in movies and books. I love reading, and there are a lot of really great science fiction and fantasy series, and like that I'm a big fan of. Like, I'll read the entire series, or like, and wait for the next one to come out, and I want to do that. Or there's like an author, his name is Brandon Sanderson, and I feel like he cannot write something that is bad. So I have like loved everything, and he has a wide range of different things that he does, but it's one of the areas that I've always enjoyed. I mean, my parents loved Star Trek and Star Wars, and I started there, and then, you know, the Lord of the Rings and everything, and it's a great time to like that kind of stuff, because we got a lot of options these days, and
yeah, that's true.
Content out there. So,
and you just started like a book review video, right? You posted one of those, and I
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one of the people that I really love, the other Flosstubers, is Julie, Kansas City girl in the Colorado world. And I love her book talk that she does when she has time to put it in there. And there's several books that she's read and recommended, and I've loved them. And we've talked on Instagram, and, you know, there's a lot of different things like that. So I wanted to do something that's kind of similar and kind of put out there some of the things that I like, and that I, you know, give my 2 cents for whatever it is. You know, take it or leave it, what you want to do with it. But yeah.
Well, I think it's neat because it just adds extra content, and I think right now that's what people are looking for. But I discovered from another interview I was doing that there is a Booktube out there.
Oh, yes.
I didn't know that was a thing. I was like, what?
Yeah. There's a few booktubers that I have watched and do watch, and before I found Flosstube, there were a few. Now, I've not been like a giant, like, there's not a huge number of them that I follow or anything like that, or really invested a lot of time in it, but there are a few, and it's a huge community. I mean, it's a giant thing. And they have their own acronyms for everything, just like we do. And, you know, there's a whole different area, which is, I'm kind of like maybe trying to go that direction, but I'm just gonna start doing my thing and see where it goes before.
You could start titling yours. I haven't checked that out yet, but do they title it like Booktube, like we do Flosstube? So you could start doing that on your review ones.
There could be, yeah. I mean, they have different like style of movies of videos that they do. So like there's some of them that they'll do like a haul video, which is just what they get. I mean, we do this. I mean, we call it haul, but like, or they talk about things that they want to read on their to be read list or TBR list, and so that's a video. They tend to do like shorter, multiple videos than do like, here's a whole thing of like us talking for an hour, and here's 5 of us talking for 10 minutes, and like, so. But I don't want to film 5 videos. So.
Yeah, now it's a lot of work.
Right.
All right. Well, interesting. I'll have to check that out at some point. I just don't want to fall down another rabbit hole. So, so we'll see. So the next question is, what fictional place would you most like to go to?
Okay. I just said that I love fantasy stuff, and I'm not going to do what most people do and say Hogwarts. I mean, I would like to go there, but like, I think my choice would be Star Trek, and like the Next Generation series. It was very like optimistic about the future and a great like society that, you know, is trying to create betterment in the universe and it's a very nice and kind of like idyllic place to exist and to live. And I don't know that I would want to be on a starship or on the Enterprise. Like, they get into lots of trouble and stuff, but there's, you know, I would be fine chilling on Earth and figuring out something to do with my time there. But yeah, no, I have watched many rounds of Star Trek in lots of different forms, but that's one of my favorite series, and definitely the perspective on like what mankind can be and what like we should strive to be towards. So that's kind of something that I like. I still really like the new versions of Star Trek, and they're a little darker, but if I'm going to live there, I'd rather live in a place that was nice and sunny. Right.
Yeah. Don't blame you.
Yeah.
So this is another fun one, and it's, if you could choose to do anything for a day, what would it be?
Well, okay, now I'm going to join everybody and say Stitch. I mean, like, especially, so I've never gone to like a retreat or something, but I have done, in the last couple months, I've joined a virtual stitching group, and that has been really fun to do that. I would really like to do that in person someday. So I think like going to a retreat, although I did just see in the last week your one with Brenda and Laura, and the idea of going to lots of places in one round.
Right? Just book a whole trip across the US and hit all of the, yeah.
So something like that would be fun.
Yeah, I think so. I just attended my first retreat, but it was on Zoom. So I think I'm right there with you that anything for a day, I would just love to get together in person with other stitchers at an actual retreat. That would be great. Maybe someday. So the next question is, do you have any other hobbies besides cross stitch?
Not really. No other like crafting hobby. I do love to read, and before, you know, when you could meet with people in person, I had a group of friends that we did board game nights, or well, we were actually starting to play like D&D or some other kind of gaming stuff. And so that is probably like the other area I would call it a hobby. You know, it's not, I mean, I guess it's a thing I spend a lot of time doing, but I don't necessarily, like, I'm not making something. So, but those are definitely the other areas that I spend a good chunk of my time.
Yeah, I know D&D. I know a lot of people at my work played together, and I know there's a lot of time and planning and that kind of stuff that goes into it. So that's still considered a hobby. So
Yeah.
For sure. So this is a fun one. I love to see what the answers are. Is how would your friends describe you?
So I think so. I know other people have said that they've like asked their friends and everything.
Yeah.
I not to do that, but so, but I
Ain't
think
it safe, huh?
Yeah, it's a bad reason. But I think they would say that I'm nice and friendly and funny, and I'm not the most like. Especially at the beginning, I kind of am more quiet to begin with, like when I'm in a new situation or with new people. But once I'm more comfortable, I'm a lot more open, and I can be pretty sarcastic with people. But it usually means I like them. So like that is that whole like thing of like, why is that boy mean to me? It's because he likes you.
Yeah. Okay.
Like that is still like, still do that.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely very good traits. Very, very good traits. So we're going to get back into stitching now. And the next question is, how do you prefer to stitch? Do you use a hoop, a Q-snap, that kind of stuff?
I like a Q-snap. That is something I have found in the last year. And I really do like it. So that is my preferred method. I've never really, I've tried stitching a hand a few times, but it's just not really my thing. I have used a hoop, and I like a hoop as well, but I like to have, I don't like pulling the project in and out of the hoop. And I've had some where there's been like hoop marks on it and that kind of stuff that's hard to get out. And so I haven't had that problem with the Q-snap, and so I've enjoyed that. And I do put like felt in between the like clip and where the fabric goes. So because of that, I haven't really had any problems of like leaving it on there too long or stretching out or anything like that. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I like a Q-snap.
I'm right there with you. I don't think I ever take my projects off Q-snaps. I don't even loosen them, and I've never had issues. So it's just an amazing product. So.
Oh.
Do you have a preferred fabric that you lean towards, like a fabric count or type, or do you just whatever?
So I will stitch on anything, but I'm not a big fan of linen, like unless there's a reason for it. The slubs and the unevenness bothers me. But so I really like 32 count even weave, like and more recently it's been more of the like Joblins and Lugana too, but like I like both of them, but I've really been enjoying Joblin more recently, but that kind of has gone back and forth over the time that I've been using those. And then I still really like Aida too. I mean, I have a lot of projects that are on Aida. I still buy Aida. I still, especially something that like doesn't have fractionals or like complicated stitches. Aida is really good for that. And you can get lots of different colors and beautiful things.
Yeah. I find, over the years, because, I'm an Aida only stitcher, and I find over the years that there's a lot more selection, but I'm limited now that I'm kind of, getting a little obsessive with samplers. Being an Aida only stitcher limits me on what samplers I can do because of like the over ones or, stuff like that. So having a little bit of, kind of stitching on everything is a better option, I think, but not going to go that route.
Well, and it's funny, like you learn different things. Like I used to take stitching with me, especially on like car rides and stuff when we were going on trips. And I took a piece, the first time I took something that was on even weave, and I was like, I can't stitch on this in the car. Like I can't, the holes are too small. Like, and I'm like, but on Aida, it's easy to find where I'm going. like, so now I know, like, if I'm going somewhere, especially, I take something that I have on Aida. So that is a lot easier to work when, you're moving around in the car. But
yeah, I take my projects everywhere, and it just, Ada's, I just love Ada. I don't know. People are trying to sway me in different directions. I had a friend send me a piece of 28 count, I think, and I'm like, we'll see.
Well, and that, I have stitched a few things on 28 count, but mostly I've stayed at 32. But I have noticed, like, because I don't really like 14 count Ada. Like, I like a chunkier block of floss, and that's harder to do on 14 count just because it's so big.
Yep.
But I have less of a problem on the 28 count because, like, the way the threads are moved by you, making your X, it doesn't seem like it's as big, it's as noticeable on that. So, I mean, it is, I like it. I still like 32 just because of the size of it, but I do. If I had to do something that was like, it's got to be on that size, I would do it on 28 over 14.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the 14 count. I usually stick to 16 or 18 just because the holes, like, it's the same thing. The holes are bigger so you can see them more, and it just, yeah, I'm right there too. So the next question kind of gets us back into getting a little bit to know you, is where is your favorite place that you've traveled, and did you bring stitching along when you went?
So I've not been traveling a whole lot recently just because of work. I mean, I've traveled for work, but that's not the same thing. And
True.
I have stitching when I go do that because it's easy to, like, when I'm done and I can stitch in a hotel room, assuming, sometimes I have to take light or whatever because the light's not always the best there. But I would. And when I was younger, when we would go on road trips to places, like one time we went out to the Grand Canyon and out west, we went to like Mesa Verde in Colorado and the Grand Canyon and did a whole bunch of stuff before coming back. And I took stitching with me out there and I really enjoyed that. So I definitely take it with me. I just haven't really been traveling all that much recently.
Well, so, I don't think really anybody has been right now, but
I mean, but we could have had a year ago and I've been like, yeah, I haven't really traveled that much recently.
Okay.
I would like to, but I'm more like to do it like in a group or with somebody else. And if I'm not one just like, I'm going to go to this place today, unless it's like down the street or, like, I'll do that kind of stuff on my own, but I'm not a big, like, I'm just going to get up and go to Texas. That's not something that I just do on the.
I don't either. I don't either. I think the biggest trip that I've done by myself is down to Acorns and Threads. And, of course I bring stitching, but yeah, I'm right there with you. So the next question gets us back into stitching a bit is, what can you not do without for your stitching? Like your favorite go-to other than the basics that you have to have?
So I need something else at the same time. Like I need TV on or a Flosstube playing or a book, audiobook, because most of the time, like I say, I'm a big reader. I'm a big listener to books just because I read a lot for work and I don't want to, I get tired of reading. And so I've just kind of been I consume a lot of enjoyment reading now in audio form, and that's the way I do it. So I need something else like on when I'm doing it. I don't just sit there and stitch. That's not me. But like I always have like something playing or something going on while I'm working on it.
So a little bit of background noise or something. Yeah. I find, if it's too quiet, because there'll be some times where I have the house to myself and I sit downstairs and stitch. And if it's too quiet, I go crazy. So I also have to have some sort of, usually it's Flosstube on my iPad next to me, but yeah, I totally get that. So yeah. So this is kind of a fun one to see how everybody kind of works through their projects. Is how do you decide on what you're going to work on next?
Just whatever I'm feeling. I've been playing around with the idea of trying to figure out some kind of rotation or something like that. I have not stuck to any previous attempts at doing this. In March, the Steel City Stitchers, they did like March Madness and they put out like a bracket and everything. And I was like, oh, that sounds great. I lasted like 2 days and I was like, I don't want to work on this.
I'm the same way. That's funny.
You can tell me what to do. This is my free time. But I do like having like a goal of something. And so I have done that. So like I'm doing the Autumn Lane Stitchery Dark Mermaid of the Sea style.
Yep.
And it has been helpful. Like the first part was like 3 fish. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do 1 fish a week. And then I went back and did the back stitching and the eyeballs in my last week. And that made it very manageable for me to get through. Like I could work on that in like 1 or a day and a half, and then I could work on something else. Okay. And I wasn't sick of that project. And so I was looking forward to when the next part comes out, and then I can, do that part as well. So yeah. I've been kind of like, some of them I've been breaking up into different, okay, this is what I want to get done. And then, just that kind of goal. But if it doesn't happen, I mean, there's not cross-stitch police that are going to show up at my or whatever. But yeah.
I've tried the wheel. Like I think I tried it during Mania. And I think I got maybe the first, maybe 7 days or something like that. But I don't like to be told what to do either. If it comes up with a project that I don't feel like stitching, I'm like, next. So, yeah.
No, I did the same thing. I mean, I think I would never film myself doing a wheel because it would just be like, let's try again. Like, no. Like, it's, don't want to do that one.
Oh, that's funny. Well, I guess then you discover you do have favorite whips because the ones that you skip are not the favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I think I need to, I'm trying to come up with some sort of, plan or something like that for the new year so that I can get stuff done ahead of like the seasons and that kind of thing. So, and hopefully stick to it. So fingers crossed on that one. It's just hard to stick to a plan. Some people have their planners and all that kind of stuff. Not me.
Yeah, I mean, not with my thing. Like I'll think, okay, I want to do all this, and then something like a new pattern comes out that I have to have.
Yep.
Or I did. So there was the new. I have it here. I'll show you. So this is the Potions and Spells.
Oh, I saw that one. Yeah.
Autumn Lane Stitchery. I've changed the color is blue on mine instead of like but this fabric I got from Jody, the Steel City Stitcher that's been making fabric, and she had something up on Instagram. It was like, tell me what you would stitch on this and I'll send the winner a piece of fabric.
Oh.
And I would put a Batman piece on it. And then she sent it to me. I was like, but then this came out and I was like, well, I put this witch on it. But
I still won.
You have a Batman needle minder on
it.
So
that counts. That does count.
And I did. The piece she sent me is big enough that I can actually fit Batman on the other half. So I may do that, but I was like, this is going to be, but that just changed my whole October. I was like, oh, I'm going to do this now. And so I can make plans, but they are very much subject to change.
Yeah. That's the whole no new starts that people are doing for 2021. I think both of us are on the same page with that one.
I mean, at the beginning of the year, it would have been like, oh, I could not do that because I don't have enough projects going to like survive not starting anything new.
Yeah.
Not the truth anymore. But I still don't want to do it because I'm like, no, I want to be able to start something if I want to.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking of like maybe the what is it, Stitch from Stash group that is like, because I have like bought a lot of stuff and maybe I could like slow that down a little bit, but I don't know if I'll stick with it either.
Yeah, that's so funny because I was thinking the same thing because I have bought so much, like I've done so much haul in my videos that I'm like, I really need to slow down. But I know even if I started Stitch from Stash, I don't think I'd stick to it because I can't, you can't tell me I can't buy something unless I finish something, that I'll be stitching these tiny little smalls. I couldn't do it.
Well, and most of the things that I stitch are not the tiny smalls.
Right.
I mean, but like the majority of things that I have started in the last year are big things that are, you know, multiple pages, and I'm not going to get that done in a year. I just work on it, not something else. And
yeah,
that's what I do anymore. I mean, that is, yeah. So I'm definitely not a monogamous stitcher. That went out the window a while ago.
Yeah, and that definitely usually goes out the window when you start a Flosstube for sure, because you got to have a lot to show. So.
Yeah, I do agree with that, but I think that like, well, I haven't ever had a situation where I only had like 1 or 2 projects, but if I did, there would definitely be a lot on them that I could like, I think I could talk about things.
Yeah.
So
somebody else pointed that out to me too, because I really wanted to focus on like one of my larger pieces. And then I was like, well, I really can't because, you know, I do these videos and it's going to be a very short video. And they said the same thing. You could talk about, you know, this specific motif and what you were doing when you stitched this and that kind of thing. So you could spread it out to have a little bit longer video, but I think it's more fun to show lots of stuff. I don't know.
That's where mine comes in, because then you can I got this, and then I got
it's just a ugly cycle. All right, so we are on to the final question, and I say this in every interview, but it is my favorite. And it is, what's the best thing that has happened to you so far this year, as in 2020?
Well, I think getting more involved in the Flosstube and stitching community has been the best thing that's happened to me this year. Just, I mean, I've made friends, become friends with people, like, and had like the joining virtual stitchers and that kind of thing. You know, you've got something that has been, I don't think if 2020 didn't happen, I don't think I would have done all of that. I don't know that I would have made a Flosstube. Oh. And I mean, I may have, but I don't know. I mean, if we didn't have this whole thing going on this year, it wouldn't, I don't know. So it's been interesting. I mean, it's obviously not the best year, but there are definitely silver linings that, you know, that from this year that are good to take from it. So
yeah, and that's why I asked this question, is because, you know, I want people to think about the positives. You know, this year has been pretty terrible for a lot of people, but there's always positives. And that right there, what you said, I don't think that if it weren't for the quarantine and all that craziness, that I would have started the Zoom meetups and, you know, met people from all over the world. And, you know, I wouldn't have started these interviews, I don't think, you know, if it weren't for that, you know, trying to give extra content for people so that they are, you know, more entertained and, you know, have stuff to watch. So there's always silver linings. So I like how you said that. There's always silver linings in that. Yeah. So everybody should look for the silver lining in this year for sure. It's a good way to end it. I like that. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day. Yep. Oh, we didn't even talk about, would you like to introduce your fur baby? Let's introduce your fur baby.
He's my corgi. And he usually only seems to really want to get up on my lap when I'm sitting in this chair and doing a video, because he wants the attention.
He's a show dog, kind of like my dog Shadow.
This is also like right next to the window that he can look out to see the backyard. It's dark, but like this is also where he like checks out and makes sure that we're safe and everything. Because
That's sweet. He's
such
a
a
very handsome boy. He's just looking over, like he's looking at the camera. Definitely a show doggy. Well, that's the perfect way to end it right there. Just showing off your fur baby. So thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. It was a lot of fun. So
Yep.
We'll say bye to everybody on Flosstube.
Bye. Say bye, Augie.